This first chapter is media file management. I'm your trainer, Louis Sierra. I am an experienced certified trainer and senior workflow analyst. Now I want to go into the fact that I will be utilizing a Mac. So it will be a Mac OS system that I'll be showing. And also I want to be transparent of the fact that there will not be one particular software program that I will be utilizing in illustrations. However, the foundation that you will get here will give you a full comprehensive understanding of video editing and its workflow in any capacity. So that goes into video, special effects, audio, coloring. The theories will be the same, and you will have a full understanding of what's going on with the particular programs once you're able to apply what you learn here. So let's get into file management. You will be utilizing a computer, a phone, a laptop, a iPad, whatever the case is. They are all limited on this amount of space that they have to for storage, and they're all going to run out of space because of the size of the files of today's high definition footage. So it's very large. And so what do you do at that point in time? You need to manage those files accordingly so that way you don't run out of space and you continue performing your editing for your grand project that you want everyone to see. So what I suggest is utilizing an external drive if you have the budget. You can use a cloud-based as well, meaning that you can put your files to the cloud. And of course, you have the local availability, meaning when I say local, I mean your phone itself, the device itself, which would be a laptop, desktop, whatever the case is, that's your local drive. Now, if you're going to use a local drive, you're going to take a look at what you have available as far as space is concerned for storage. So on a Mac, you're going to right click on the drive, and you should be able to select on a PC as well on the drive itself. And if you don't, then again, you can go ahead and Google how to go about finding your drive and seeing how much space you have available. When it comes to that, I suggest taking 20% off the availability. So in other words, if it says you have 1 terabyte available, then by definition, 800 gigabytes is all you should be able to use. And I say this because that way you have that 20% capacity left over to do an archive or moving your file somewhere else and give you that window. Because otherwise, you're going to run into the problem of then your device not being able to be utilized. And you're not going to be very happy with that. So again, I'm just basing it on my experience. That's a good way to knowing what your capacity is and therefore be able to take action not to run into problems. So you're being proactive. By default, you may not be able to see your drives. So you will go to the Finder, go to Settings, select on hard disk, any external disks, and they should start appearing on your desktop. You'll also see CDs, DVDs, iPods, connected servers. Those are items that you most likely you will not be utilizing. However, if you do, you can select on those. You can also do an external drive, which I highly recommend. Now here's a plug for a particular device. Samsung Portable SSD T7 2 terabyte drive is absolutely wonderful. I highly recommend it. It's been it's excellent in speed. It works with many devices, and it's very dependable. So that's been my experience. That's something I highly recommend. 2 terabytes is what I recommend. However, if you do not have the budget, I totally understand that. And so you may want to go to a smaller size. But for the price, I believe the 2 terabyte is an excellent purchase. And of course, I mentioned the cloud. So you can go Google Drive, you can select Dropbox and other programs that you may want to explore. So those are ways of utilizing that. The important the most important thing I can think of to mention here is the management part, which is naming conventions. And I'll get into that in a moment. The next thing I want to go into is accessibility. So make certain that when you do have another device available for usage, that is turned on first. So any peripherals that you have, they should be turned on first before you start your software program for video editing, or again, if you're doing any effects or audio, anything that's being utilized for storage, and that's where you could put your files, make sure that's turned on first before you start your program or even your system. I would like to take this time to caution that if you have a Finder window open and you see the drives, next to the name of each drive, you will see an icon, which will be an arrow pointing up. Whatever you do, do not select those icons. That will eject your drive. And if your drive is connected to a software, then your media will become offline. And that may become very problematic. So try to stay just within selecting one time on the drive and then going to your folder that you're going to. So understand that. Another thing that I want to mention that's very, very important are permissions. You may want to take your files, folders, or even your drive to another location. Maybe you're collaborating with other individuals. You need to make sure that permissions are set for sharing, so that way when you take it somewhere else, you do not get an error message saying you do not have permissions to utilize this program or this file here. Here meaning the other location that you go to, or if you send the file somewhere else, that those persons or person can open the files. Again, you're trying, the point of this to be proactive, so that way you don't run into these issues. On a Mac, you're going to right click on a folder, or you can, and you get the information, and you can also press on the folder or file itself, and then press the command key and the letter I, and then that will give you information as well. Once you see there, you go to where you can get the file permissions, and then select for sharing, and any checkboxes for sharing, you want to select on those. Now you know that wherever that file goes for yourself or for someone else, that the availability will be there for that file or folder. Also, if it's on a drive, external device, make sure that's also available for sharing. Even the cloud-based, if you're utilizing if you use a cloud-based service, make sure that file sharing is available, so that way that can be used again in collaboration with others. You may have to excuse me, give permissions or put email addresses, maybe passwords to those, so those other persons can obtain the permissions to open up those files and folders, and this will minimize any issues in the future. Another item that you want to take a look at is to document the path of the files that you're creating and the folders that you're creating. This will be very, very important in the future when you start moving items back and forth. One thing you don't want to see is to have a message saying that your media is offline. Not very good. That's a very ugly thing to see, and you're going to go into panic mode trying to figure out what happened, how to go about fixing it. If you were to document your path, then you will know exactly where they're at. Maybe after you finish with with your video editing, or maybe you move to another system, you move the files unbeknownst to you or others. So that's something that, again, if you have it documented, you can take a look and trace back the past. If all of that is not available to you, and you do in fact run into a project, an old project that you wish to open up, and it says the media is offline, take a look at where it's trying to search. So in any program, you should be able to right click on the file that is said is missing, and it'll it'll probably give you an idea where it was last, and it'll give you the name of the file as well. So please keep in mind one other thing. When you have an item in a software program, whether it be a picture, video, and audio, the name that you give that item in that software does not change the name of the original file. In other words, if you look at your phone, any device, and you take a picture or a video, most likely it will say IMG for image or PIC for pic, and it will say 00204. That's the name that the device gives that file. However, when you bring it to your program, you may call it Sally. But again, the software program is going to see it as Sally, and then you're going to look back. Don't look for Sally, you need to look for 00142, whatever the number was that was given. So that's what I mean by making certain that you document those. And if you want to change the name of the clip or the file that you want to select, then do so at that point in time. So in other words, if you have a picture or video that you create on the phone or laptop or wherever you create your videos or cameras, make certain to change the name there. So once you finish with it, once you finish recording, go to that file and rename it accordingly. So that way now, so if you call it, so if you take a video of Sally and you rename it Sally, before it goes into the editing program, now when you go back, if in the future you're offline and you need to find the original clip, you can look for Sally. And you know for certain that it will be named Sally rather than the numerical number that it gives by default. So I hope that makes sense to you. Again, you want to be proactive when you're performing all these actions. So document the path. One other thing you want to take a look at is speed of access. What is the speed of access here? So it's depending on, so if you're using cloud-based, for example, to upload or download media, you want to be able to do it in a proficient way. You want to be efficient, making sure that it comes very quickly and it uploads very quickly. So you may want to check your connection for that item. So if you're using the internet, being hardwired, meaning that you have a wire plugged into your router, that's or modem, that's the fastest way of doing it. However, many of us are used to being wireless, and so you may want to perform a speed test, so that way you know what your speed is, and you can get that will give you the expectancy or how long it will take you to upload or download a file. So that way, if you're working with someone, you're collaborating with someone, you know how long it's going to take, and you can let the person or persons know that it'll take X amount of time. So expectancy is important, so that way everyone's the same page. So make sure that you know what kind of connection you're going to utilize, and again, what's the speed of your connection. And you can easily do that by going on the web and Googling speed test or internet speed test, and you should be able to have a free speed test available to you, and you can go ahead and test your speed in that way. Naming convention I mentioned before regarding naming your particular video or audio or pictures accordingly before you put them into the program. Now, another thing you want to go into naming convention are your folders. So make sure that a folder is named video. One is called audio, another one's called stills or pictures, and the other one called graphics. Again, these are most of the ways that when you're working in video, you're making these files and folders in this manner. So the folders, you want to name them accordingly. When you're inside your program, you may also want to do that as well. In a program, it's usually called a bin, bin. And so bin is just another word for folder. And I highly recommend that you create those 4 folders named video, audio, stills, and graphics. And that way, when you bring in videos, you can go ahead and place them in the video bin or folder. And same thing for the audio, same thing for the stills or pictures and the graphics. And once again, make sure to document the path of those. So if you create a folder within another folder, then you may want to do that. And the reason for that is because you may have sub-series of items that you're creating. So for example, the title of my video is called Louis. However, maybe I have Louis in the garage, and then I have Louis outdoors, and then I have Louis going to school. Then I may want to have a folder named Louis, and then a folder inside those folders named outside, garage, and school. And then put those videos in those places. The last item I can go into as far as media file management is backing up and archiving. This is very important because once again, you may in the future want to look back at your video, and maybe you want to add to it, maybe you want to recall it to utilize it for other purposes. And so you want to make sure that you understand where it's located. So again, document the path. When you remove items from your computer, make sure that you test them out once they're in the other location. Do not delete them from your personal device until you make certain that they are available and they work properly. Because once you delete them from your laptop or your phone or whatever the case is, your device, they will no longer be available. So we don't want to perform any actions that will be a detriment to our project. And one other thing I want to mention is that once you perform this deletion of folders, so let's say you want to free up space on your phone, computer, or not, maybe not the phone, because I believe the phone will do it automatically. But as far as the device is concerned, especially on the computer, just because you throw something in the trash does not mean it gives you space. Same thing for a drive. If you delete something from a drive and you go ahead and put the items in the trash, and then you go back to the device to utilize it, you may most likely get a message saying that you no longer have space. And you'll look at the drive and you'll see there's nothing on the drive itself, but yet it's saying it's full. That's because you haven't emptied the trash. So once again, make certain that all the files that you wanted to keep are kept, that they're all intact, they all work. Once you are certain of that, then you go to the trash on your computer and you trash everything in there. So you make sure to delete the trash. You have to clear the trash and make sure that everything's out. Once you do that, then you can look at your drives or drive, and you see that everything will be in fact gone, and then you will see the space available on your device that you're using, and you can move on to your next project. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get updates on upcoming workshops and webinars where I discuss more on this topic. I'm also available for training sessions and consulting. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next chapter of this series.